Well, this broadcast comes to you from inside the netted tent, which isn't going to be here for much longer. I've seen a couple of birds just inside. They're getting in through the pallets, various gaps in and around the compost area. And I put this up with the sole intention of giving the chickens some extra space to roam around during this period of bird flu, so that they weren't just trapped inside the coop. The coop's pretty large, and as most people have observed, it really is big enough for them, but hey, we're trying to give them a bit of extra. But it's no good if wild birds can get in here, and that is the sole purpose of keeping them confined so that it doesn't spread. So I'm going to be taking this down, and I think it'll come down a lot quicker than it went up. In the meantime, there's more spreading of compost to do. This is the time of year, so I try to get it in and around the plot, and I've only got a few places left to put it, but I'm going to get on and do that today, or at least some of it, as well as take this down. Right, now we're putting it off. Let's get some of this compost into the right places. And I just want to see if I can leave myself a little bit to make some more of that seed compost that I made a few videos ago. You might want to go back and have a look at that. It turned out really well. Well, temperatures are dropping big time. It's about 6 degrees today and it's getting lower. So just making use of some of the harder work to warm me up this morning. And this is the first place I'm going to drop this compost, into my celeriac bed. And as I've said a few times before, if you've still got crops that are growing, then no problem, just put it to one end. So twice the amount of compost required on this end, so that when I harvest the last few celeriac, I can push the rest over onto the bed and it'll be ready for the next season. Just keep it on into the sides, and that will make sure that I don't have any spillage into the pathways. There we go. Right, cover this one up. Well, it does pay to get to your allotment from time to time during the winter months, because a bit like this purple sprouting broccoli, it's persistently wanting to fall over, and I notice it this morning. I've put it up a couple of times, but I'm going to go and give it a really good binding to these upright bars that I've put in, see if I can stop it. And the other thing, when I've been down here, I've noticed that there's an awful lot of what I think is speedwell. It's a beautiful little blue flower, but it's getting very prolific in here, and I need to get it out so that I don't end up with a really big job later on. So visit your plot from time to time, even if it's just to keep a handle on things and save yourself some work later on. I know it's difficult, especially in these cold months, but worth it. Well, it was worth a try, and it certainly came down quicker than it went up, and it stayed up, which was, well, a small miracle in itself. But there we are. So that means that I've got good access to this area now, and I was beginning to wonder why I wasn't getting any of my horse manure delivered, and I found out this week that the gentleman concerned unfortunately tested positive for COVID. He's well and just a bit frustrated that he's needing to isolate at the moment. So I'll be ready when he's ready. Good times. One of the things that I'm going to do in preparation is just lay out the shrubs, well, fruit bushes and various things that I've put in this bay, which I put there out of convenience, but it's the first bay and the easiest one to access with any horse manure when it arrives. And because I've got two levels here, I should be able to push the barrow up onto the top level and tip it over, or failing that, just come straight in from the base. But either way, I'd like to have that first bay free so that it's not too much effort to get it away quickly. And there's plenty of room in here now for moving the barrow around and getting things organised. So that's good. I've got plenty of compost left, about a foot in that bay and about a foot in that bay. And I've got probably 4 or 5 spots to put it. So I think I'm just going to do a couple more, but I'm going to put those nets away first. So how convenient is the new position of my net container? Well, that seems pretty straightforward. Job done. Once again, I'm going to put it at the edge of the crop so that as I use the leeks, I can pull this across, and probably needs another barrow, I think. Perhaps just to go on there, and then this one will be ready to stretch out when I am. Right, that's got that pretty much sorted, and this bed I can then just pull the compost along as I take the leeks out. I was thinking earlier, looking at my pear tree, what a difficult year it was this year for pears. When the blossom came out, it was still freezing cold, and it just didn't work out with the bees. And anything we can do for bees is good news. And I had a note from Josie and John the other day from the Norfolk Sanctuary, and they've got a channel, I'll link it below, where you can see the bee homes that John has been making. They're fantastic, so simple. You don't realise how simple it is to make a bee home. And the bees that they have in their homes are solitary bees. And I learned from them that solitary bees actually pollinate more successfully than honeybees. So we need to be giving them the best shin up we can. So if you want an inspirational design, then pop over to the link that I'll put below and have a look. You can see them buzzing around it and all the little homes that they've got. Fantastic. Well done, Josie and John. Well, it's my second attempt at these two beds. If you watched my last video, you would have seen that I'm trying to do it in, well, bite-sized chunks, because it's one of those jobs that I've put off so much that it's got out of hand. And I think I'm winning now. I'm certainly getting rid of a lot of weed. And I'm into this bed today. And this is my sprouts. Well, there won't be any sprouts for Christmas because my sprouts are a failure. And I'm afraid I'm not very good at growing sprouts. I know that they have to go into firm ground, and well, I add compost to the beds and I think it's perhaps just not firm enough, but this year definitely isn't happening, and these will go to the chickens. And I need to think where best to put sprouts, given that most of my beds are, well, bouncy compost. So I need to come up with a bit of another plan. If you've got any ideas, pop them in the comments below, because they'll be gratefully received. I think next year I'm going to start growing sprouts earlier. I've tended to leave them late, and I don't think that helps. But next year might be my final year for growing sprouts if it doesn't work out. Right, onto this couch grass. If you want to see how I'm getting rid of this, go back to my last video and you'll see the technique I'm going to employ. Right, here we go. Well, I've given it a darn good go. There's more to do, but as I said before, this is a horrible job, and I'm going to do it in bite-sized chunks. And a little bit of rain on that will expose the roots, but there's bindweed and couch grass in there. So I'm really hopeful that my new strategy will work out next season. We'll see. Okay, that's me done for today. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you do, then why not subscribe and like? And if you want to get my uploads, press the bell and you'll get them every Wednesday and every Sunday at 8 p.m. Have a good week. Good times.